confessions unlocked, where X secrets spill, revenge gets served, and sometimes X's come crawling back. Subscribe now for real, unfiltered stories about love gone wrong, and sometimes very right. Drop a comment with your ex drama. Yours could be next. My ex-wife showed up to our divorce hearing on a wheelchair. She thought it would secure her a payout from the judge. She got a shock of her life. Picture this: a packed Los Angeles courtroom, the air thick with tension. The judge about to finalize what should have been a simple divorce. And then she arrives. My ex-wife, Lillian, rolling in on a wheelchair, her face pale, her hands trembling. The room gasps. The judge softens. And I know the truth. She isn't sick. She isn't injured. This is her final act of revenge. And if I don't prove it, she'll walk away with everything I've ever worked for. The morning of the hearing, I woke up with a knot in my stomach. I had spent the last 6 months preparing for this day, gathering documents, securing testimonies, making sure the division of assets was fair. Lillian and I had been married for 8 years, but the last 2 had been a slow unraveling of lies, betrayals, and financial games. I dressed carefully, a navy blue suit, crisp white shirt, no tie. I want to look respectable, but not aggressive. The last thing I needed was the judge thinking I was some ruthless businessman trying to screw over his helpless wife. My lawyer, Daniel Reyes, met me outside the courthouse. He was a no-nonsense litigator with a reputation for winning ugly cases. "You ready for this?" he asked, adjusting his cufflinks. "More than ready," I said. "Let's just hope the judge sees through her act." Daniel smirked. "Oh, he will. Judges hate theatrics." I wish I had his confidence. The Los Angeles County Courthouse was packed. The hum of whispered conversations filled the air as we took our seats at the defendant's table. Across the aisle, Lillian's lawyer, Marcus Duval, was already flipping through files, looking smug. But Lillian wasn't there. Strange. She was never late. In fact, she was the kind of person who arrived 30 minutes early just to make a point. Judge Hernandez, a stern man in his late 50s, called the court to order. Case number DL 20473, Huggins versus Huggins. Are both parties present? Daniel stood. "Yes, Your Honor. Jacob Huggins is present." Marcus rose smoothly. "Your Honor, my client, Mrs. Lillian Huggins, is en route. She's experiencing some mobility issues this morning." Mobility issues? I shot Daniel a look. He frowned. Before I could process it, the courtroom doors swung open. And there she was, Lillian, in a wheelchair. The performance of a lifetime. The room fell silent. She looked broken. Her once glossy dark hair was pulled back in a limp ponytail. Her face was free of makeup, her skin unnaturally pale. She wore an oversized sweater and sweatpants, as if she had just been discharged from hospital. Marcus pushed her forward, his expression grave. Judge Hernandez's eyebrows lifted. "Mrs. Huggins, are you unwell?" Lillian's lower lip trembled. She opened her mouth, but no words came out, just a shaky breath. Marcus placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Your Honor, my client has been suffering from severe spinal complications since the accident." "Accident?" My pulse spiked. Daniel leaned in. "What accident?" I shook my head. There was no accident. But the judge was already nodding sympathetically. "Would you like a recess, Mrs. Huggins?" Lillian wiped an invisible tear. "And no, Your Honor. I want this to be over." Her voice was so weak, so unlike the sharp, commanding tone I knew. The judge turned to me. "Mr. Huggins, given your wife's condition, do you have any objections to proceeding?" Every eye in the room was on me. If I objected, I'd look like a monster. If I didn't, I was letting her manipulate the court. Daniel squeezed my arm. "Play along for now." I forced a calm nod. "No objections, Your Honor." Marcus cleared his throat. "Your Honor, before we proceed, I'd like to enter new evidence into the record." He handed a folder to the bailiff, who passed it to the judge. Judge Hernandez flipped through it, his expression darkening. Then he looked at me. "Mr. Huggins, are you aware your wife has filed a supplemental claim for damages?" Daniel stiffened. "What kind of damages?" Marcus didn't miss a beat. "Medical expenses, ongoing care, pain, and suffering." He paused. "Resulting from the car accident Mr. Huggins caused." I nearly laughed. "What the hell?" Daniel shot up. "Your Honor, this is the first we're hearing of any accident." Marcus pulled out a police report. According to this, Mr. Huggins was driving under the influence when he lost control of the vehicle, crashing into a guardrail. Mrs. Huggins suffered a herniated disc, nerve damage, and chronic pain. The room erupted in murmurs. I was gripping the table so hard my knuckles turned white. This was insanity. There was no accident, no police report, no nothing. And yet, here it was, official-looking documents stamped and signed. Judge Hernandez exhaled. Mr. Huggins, these are serious allegations. Do you have any response? Daniel stood. Your Honor, we need time to review these documents. This is clearly a last-minute ambush. Marcus smirked. Or perhaps Mr. Huggins hoped his wife would be too intimidated to speak up. Lillian let out a quiet sob. The judge's gaze hardened. I was losing. Fast. The truth lurking beneath. But then, I remembered something. 3 months ago, Lillian had fallen down the stairs at a friend's party. She had milked it for sympathy, even though security footage later showed her tripping over her own heels. She loved playing the victim, and right now, she was doing it again. But this time, I had proof. I leaned over to Daniel. Check her social media. He frowned. What? Just look. Daniel pulled out his phone, discreetly scrolling. Then his eyes widened. He turned the screen toward me. There it was. A photo, posted 4 days ago. Lillian, standing, laughing, on a yacht in Malibu. The game just changed. Daniel stood abruptly. Your Honor, we'd like to request a brief recess to review this new evidence. Marcus scoffed. More stalling. Judge Hernandez hesitated, then nodded. 15 minutes. As soon as we were in the hallway, Daniel grinned. She screwed up. Big time. He pulled up the photo, crystal clear, time-stamped. Lillian, in a bikini, holding a cocktail, her back perfectly straight. No wheelchair. No pain. Just another day in her carefully curated life. Daniel's eyes gleamed. We're about to flip this entire hearing. The hallway outside the courtroom was eerily quiet, the muffled sounds of other cases bleeding through the walls. Daniel's fingers flew across his phone screen, pulling up every post, every story, every digital footprint Lillian had left in the past month. This is gold, he muttered, zooming in on the yacht photo. Look at her. No brace, no limp, not even a wince of pain. I clenched my jaw. She really thought she could pull this off. Daniel's grin was razor sharp. Oh, she did pull it off. Right up until now. He forwarded the image to his tablet, then pulled up something else. A security video from a high-end restaurant in Beverly Hills. Dated 3 days ago. Lillian, in a sleek black dress, laughing as her new boyfriend, some finance guy she'd been seeing before the divorce was even filed, pulled out her chair. She sat without hesitation, her spine straight, her movements fluid. No pain. No wheelchair. No damn accident. We've got her, Daniel said. But then my phone buzzed. An unknown number. A text. Drop the evidence, Jacob, or I'll release yours. My blood turned to ice. Daniel saw my face. What? I showed him the message. His smirk faded. What the hell does that mean? I didn't answer. Because I knew. Lillian wasn't just playing the victim. She was playing dirty. Judge Hernandez called the court back to order. Lillian was still in her wheelchair, but her eyes flickered to me, sharp, calculating. She knew I had seen the text. Marcus stood, oozing fake sympathy. Your Honor, we'd like to proceed with the medical testimony regarding Mrs. Huggins' injuries. Daniel cut in. Actually, Your Honor, we'd like to address the credibility of these claims first. The judge sighed. Make it quick. Daniel didn't hesitate. He strode to the projector and pulled up the yacht photo. The second it flashed onto the screen, the room erupted. Lillian's breath hitched. Marcus's jaw tightened, and the judge's eyes narrowed. Mrs. Huggins, Judge Hernandez said slowly. Care to explain? Lillian's hands trembled, real trembling this time. That was before my condition worsened. Daniel didn't let her finish. He switched to the restaurant video, then another, and another, all from the past 2 weeks, all showing her walking, dancing, living without a single sign of injury. Marcus scrambled. Your Honor, my client has good days and bad. Bullshit, Daniel snapped. He turned to the judge. This is fraud, plain and simple. Mrs. Huggins fabricated an injury to manipulate this court into awarding her a larger settlement. The judge's face darkened. He looked at Lillian. Is this true? For the first time since I'd known her, Lillian looked scared. But then, she smiled. Your Honor, she said softly, I never claimed to be physically injured. The room went still. Daniel froze. Even Marcus looked confused. Lillian's voice was steady now, her act slipping away. My condition isn't spinal. It's psychological. She reached into her bag and pulled out another document. A psychiatric evaluation. Dated yesterday. Diagnosis. Severe PTSD from emotional abuse. Caused by Jacob Huggins. Daniel was on his feet. This is outrageous. Marcus smirked. The wheelchair was a symbol, Your Honor. A representation of how my client has been crippled by years of manipulation and gaslighting. Lillian's eyes locked onto mine, glistening with tears, but this time they weren't sad. They were triumphant. The judge rubbed his temples. Mr. Huggins, do you have any response? I opened my mouth, and then my phone buzzed again. Another text, this time with an attachment. A photo of me, in a situation I couldn't explain. I didn't need to open it fully to know what it was. Lillian had always been 2 steps ahead. She leaned forward, her voice barely above a whisper. Drop the case, Jacob, or I'll show the court what you really did last summer. Daniel grabbed my arm. What is she talking about? I didn't answer, because the truth was worse than anyone knew. The courtroom was a pressure cooker of tension. Judge Hernandez's gaze burned into me as I stared at my phone, the unopened attachment glaring on my screen like a live grenade. What the hell had Lillian dug up? Daniel leaned in, his voice a harsh whisper. Jacob, what is that? I couldn't answer, because I already knew. Last summer, the cabin, the night I couldn't remember. Lillian's lawyer, Marcus, didn't miss a beat. Your Honor, it seems Mr. Huggins hesitant to address my client's very real trauma. He gestured to the psychiatric report. This evaluation confirms severe psychological damage from sustained emotional abuse. Daniel slammed his hands on the table. This is a stunt. Mrs. Huggins just perjured herself minutes ago by faking a spinal injury. Lillian's face crumpled. Another Oscar-worthy performance. I never lied, she whispered. I am broken. Just not in the way you thought. The judge exhaled sharply. Enough. Mr. Huggins, if you have evidence to counter this, present it. Now. My fingers shook as I opened the attachment fully. And there it was. A photo of me, unconscious, half-dressed on a motel bed. And beside me, a woman who wasn't Lillian. But I had never seen her before in my life. The setup. Daniel's breath caught. What the hell is this? My pulse roared in my ears. I don't know. Lillian's voice cut through the chaos. Your Honor, I'd like to submit this into evidence. She handed a USB drive to Marcus, who passed it to the bailiff. Judge Hernandez plugged it in. The entire courtroom watched as the screen flickered to life. Security footage from a cheap motel. Dated July 12th, 11:47 p.m. Me, stumbling into a room, visibly drunk. A woman following me. The door closing. Then nothing. No footage of me leaving. No context. Just enough to make me look guilty as hell. Marcus crossed his arms. Mr. Huggins, care to explain why you were in a motel room with another woman while still married? Daniel shot up. Objection. This is character assassination with zero relevance to asset division. The judge's voice was ice. Overruled. Mr. Huggins, answer the question. I swallowed hard. I don't remember that night. Lillian let out a choked sob. That's what he always says. Then Marcus dropped the bomb. Your Honor, we believe Mr. Huggins' infidelity is just the tip of the iceberg. He pulled out another document. We have witness testimony alleging substance abuse and violent tendencies, both of which contributed to my client's PTSD. Daniel exploded. Witness testimony? From who? Marcus smirked. Someone very close to Mr. Huggins. The doors at the back of the courtroom creaked open, and walked my own brother, Kyle. My stomach dropped. Kyle avoided my eyes as he took the stand. Judge Hernandez swore him in. Then Marcus pounced. Mr. Kyle Huggins, can you confirm your brother has a history of reckless behavior? Kyle's voice was hollow. Yes. And did you ever see him intoxicated to the point of blacking out? Yes. Did you ever fear for Lillian's safety because of his actions? Yes. The word hit me like a bullet. Daniel was already objecting, but the damage was done. The judge's face was unreadable. Lillian? She was smiling. I grabbed Daniel's arm. He's lying. Kyle, and I haven't spoken in months. Daniel's jaw tightened. Then why would he do this? I didn't get to answer, because my phone buzzed again. Another text. From Lillian's number. Tell the judge you'll give me the house, the stocks, and 80% of the savings. Where Kyle testifies about the cabin. My blood ran cold. The real reason Kyle was doing this. The secret no one could ever know. Daniel saw my face. Jacob, what is she talking about? I couldn't speak. Because the truth was worse than infidelity. Worse than a fake injury. Worse than anything this courtroom thought they knew. Lillian had me cornered. And if I didn't fold now, she'd burn my entire life to the ground. The air in the courtroom was thick enough to choke on. Lillian's text burned in my mind. 80% of everything, or Kyle exposes the cabin. Daniel gripped my arm. Jacob, whatever she's holding over you, fight back. But how? If Kyle testified about that night at the cabin, I'd lose more than money. I'd lose my freedom. Judge Hernandez's voice cut through my panic. Mr. Huggins, does your brother's testimony hold any merit? Kyle wouldn't look at me. His hands trembled on the witness stand. He didn't want to do this. Lillian had forced him, just like she was forcing me. I stood slowly, my pulse roaring in my ears. Your Honor, I'd like to call my own witness. Lillian's smirk faltered. Marcus scoffed. Your Honor, this is a delay tactic. Her name, I said, is Rebecca Voss. The name hit Lillian like a slap. Her face drained of color. Because Rebecca Voss wasn't just anyone. She was Lillian's best friend. And she was walking into the courtroom right now. Rebecca, a sharp-eyed brunette in a navy pantsuit, took the stand. Daniel handed her a document. Ms. Voss, do you recognize this? She nodded. It's a text thread between me and Lillian. Judge Hernandez adjusted his glasses. Read the highlighted portion, please. Rebecca's voice was steady. Lillian, Kyle will testify if I threaten to expose the cabin incident. But we need to make sure Jacob never finds out the truth, that I was the one who set it up. Lillian shot up from her wheelchair, finally standing. That's a lie. The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. Sit down, Mrs. Huggins. Kyle's head snapped toward Lillian. You set me up? Rebecca kept going. Lillian paid a woman to drug Jacob at a bar last summer. She had her brought to the cabin, staged photos, then called Kyle to find them. She knew Kyle would blame Jacob for everything, just like she planned. My brother's face twisted in horror. You manipulated me? Lillian's mask shattered. Shut up. But it was too late. Daniel pounced. Your Honor, this proves Mrs. Huggins fabricated not just her injuries, but an entire false narrative to extort my client. Judge Hernandez's expression was volcanic. Mrs. Huggins, you are in serious contempt of this court. Lillian's lawyer, Marcus, actually took a step back from her. Then, Rebecca dropped the real bomb. There's more. She pulled out her phone. Lillian recorded everything, including her admitting she never loved Jacob. She married him to drain his assets. The video played. Lillian's voice, cold and smug. Once the divorce is final, I'll own half his company. Then I'll sell it to his biggest competitor. They've already offered me $12 million. The courtroom exploded. Judge Hernandez didn't even wait for objections. Mrs. Huggins, your case is dismissed. All claims for alimony, assets, everything denied. He turned to the bailiff. And arrest her for perjury and fraud. Lillian screamed as officers cuffed her. You'll regret this, Jacob. Kyle rushed to me, his face broken. I didn't know, I swear. I didn't answer. Some betrayals cut too deep. 6 months later, Lillian was sentenced to 18 months for fraud and witness tampering. Kyle and I still don't speak. My company? Thriving. And that motel photo? Turned out the woman was a paid actress. Lillian's final lie. But here's the twist no one expected. Rebecca Voss? We're dating now. And Lillian hates it. In the end, the wheelchair, the lies, the blackmail, none of it worked. Because the truth, it always rolls forward. And sometimes, it crushes the right people.